Welcome back to the radio shop, folks. This is the part 2 of the Zenith 8S359 video. Today we're going to be replacing the dowel cord, dowel belt, because this one uses a combination of both. It has a rubber dowel belt, or did have a rubber and or whatever they made them from dowel belt, plus it also has a dowel string. So we're going to be dealing with that. So we're going to take this front cover off here. Dowel pointer, these 4 screws, pull this off and see what's behind it. That's stuck on there pretty good. So we're going to reach back here for our automotive trim removal tool and very carefully attempt to run this off. And I don't want to damage that dowel, so I may put a piece of cardboard behind it. I'm going to use a piece of paper behind it, and I got to be really careful of this. It acts like it's really stuck on here. We're going to slowly wiggle it off so that I don't break this pointer. It's starting to come off now. It's really on there. Probably some rust has got it on there. Can't quite get back behind it yet, and I don't want to bend this plate. Just about off. There we go. And that's what those automotive trim tools are good for. Removing knobs and stuck-on printers. But you want to be sure you protect behind the wood cabinet or whatever you're trying to protect so that you don't scratch it up. There's already a little bit of dirt and scratching on there, so I'm going to set this aside and we're going to continue on. Screws have been on here 80 something years, 81 years probably, and there it is. Put the dowel on that side. So what we've got here is your standard dowel spring, dowel string, whichever. Luckily we still have the, I got a bug hiding up in there. Luckily we still have the spring, and it goes in one of these holes here, and then it wraps around. I got to figure out how it wraps around, and there's another wheel in there, and we've got to put some new dowel string on because that dowel string is not very good. If you look up in here inside the radio, I'm going to try to get the light out of the way so we can see. We have a flywheel that helps control tuning across. You then have a rubber belt that goes here and over to this here, and that in turn turns a dowel string that's around a pulley up here. You can see that, which turns the dowel up here. So it kind of gear reduces it using this. So this is rotted away. You can see there's still part of it right there. This is rotted away, and they typically do. So we'll have to create a new one for around there, and then I'll have to figure out how much we need and which way it actually goes for dowel string to wrap around there to turn the dial. So I took the inner pulley off. The rubber dowel belt's going to go around this, and then the actual dowel cord Goes between that washer and the plate there, the mounting plate of that pulley. And then the dowel cord comes out and goes around here and hooks with the spring. So I'm just going to have to basically guess how much dowel cord goes between hither and yon, because I don't have any dowel cord diagrams. I'm going to set up the cord first, and then I will do the rubber belt later on. Get my finger out of the shot there. So people have asked, what do you use for replacement dowel belt material? And I use the following. This, which is a cloth-coated, it is a cloth-coated fishing line. Came from Walmart, 300 yards of it. Works great as dowel belt replacement. No frays, no pulling, I've had no trouble with it using it, and I still got it, and a bunch of it. Of course, I don't have to replace that much dowel string, but that's my replacement dowel string. I said belt, I meant string. So I used that, came from Walmart, out of the fishing department. Okay, I've got a new dowel cord strung in here, what best I could figure out, and I tried it out by turning the pulley underneath, and it seems to tune the tuner just fine. Now I'll need to get the belt in between the pulley and there and the shaft, and we'll get that. I got to trim my cords here. We'll get that all hooked up, and we'll see if the dowel will work. Looking underneath here, we've got the new belt put on, and what I'm using is, it came from Radio Days. It's this extruded rubber cord, if you want to call it, and I just cut it to the size that fit tight around there. Then I glued it, let the glue dry, and then I strapped it across the pulleys so it would work. So we're going to get this put back together and test it out. Well, we've got the dial all put back together, so we're going to test it out and see if it works. Tuning that way goes that way. Tuning this way goes back this way. And it appears we have a working dowel belt / dowel cord combination. This is a different one than I've seen on other Zeniths. Other Zeniths have black dowels, have a clock spring wound up in here to help drive a geared motor that the black belt you saw underneath actually goes up and around the pulley up here, and it has a idler pulley on it, and then that helps with driving the mechanism. And you can actually spin the mechanism really fast on one of those and tune really quickly across the dial. This one has a little bit smaller dial, so it doesn't have as far to travel as some of the big Zenith black dials, so I think they kind of went the cheap route and geared it down with the dowel cord and that dowel belt combination. And then those dowel belts give away and that quits working, and the dowel cord breaks and that quits working. And so there was no way to really tune this other than by hand back here on the thing. There's other things I need to clean up on this unit, and we're going to get to doing that. And I know I've got dirty fins back here on the tuning capacitor. Got to clean those out. I've got just dirt on the chassis, which I'm just going to kind of wipe off. There's a little bit of dirt here, but I'm not going to mess with it too much because it looks like paint is starting to fleck off. I might take a little bit of something on a Q-tip and test it to make sure that the writing's not going to come off, because I don't want to do what I've seen on other radios where people just like spray it with Windex and suddenly their dial is gone. I don't know about these, but I'm going to do a test before I do anything like that. Since I finally found the cause of the short in the tuning capacitor, there was one slightly bent fin on the tuning capacitor that on the front section, the oscillator section, that was barely bent and touching about just under 900 on. I've now got it where it doesn't shut off when it gets below 900. We're going to do an alignment, or at least attempt to do an alignment.
When the league start in December, it wouldn't be a truncated regular season. You would play a full regular season with maybe an NBA Finals going into July and August of then 2021, and that's the type of season that you would have. So I give kudos.
So that's part 2 of this Zenith 8S 359. I did an alignment. I did it off camera because it was easier to do so than try to do an alignment and try to do camera at the same time. Anyway, I made adjustments to the IF cans here, and to the antenna and the oscillator adjustments down around over there. I noticed the eye tube does close a little bit better. I was missing a tube shield here, and I put this one on just to do the alignment. It's not a Zenith tube shield, but I had one that would actually fit the base, so that's what I put there for right now. I will put the automatic tuning back on when I put it on the cabinet. Didn't need it for the alignment because I don't care at this time what those are tuned to. And here's a little overview of the chassis again. Tuning now works. Tune after our belt replacement in this episode. So, speaker over here. We will start with cabinet. I'll look at the cabinet next time and see what we need to do to the cabinet. And there's quite a bit of cabinet work that will need to be done, so we may do several parts on the cabinet, then get her all put back together, and hopefully have a very nice 8S 351. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Give me a thumbs up.
And we'll see you next time here on Old Radio Shop.